The NASCAR America Post-Race Show presented by Progressive. Fireworks continue in the background for Ryan Blaney's big win here at Iowa Speedway. We want to take a look at the playoff standings. Now, Ryan Blaney's name is in yellow. All the winners that have locked themselves into the playoffs on the left side of the screen, those still fighting for points on the right side. But remember, 9 races remain in the regular season and only 6 spots still to be determined as far as those not locked in.
Yeah, the 12 was looking good. Now with that name in yellow, feels even better. It's towards the other side of the page that I think people are really starting to see points slip away. The 8 had a decent car tonight, mechanical issues. Logano was just okay. Blaney ends up getting the job done. It's going to be an exciting 9-race run to the playoffs.
Jeff, what do you think about the first ever Cup race at Iowa?
It was a lot of fun. It was so much unexpected. And, you know, just never knew what was going to happen. We came into this race with concerns about tires. We came into it, a week ago. Drivers were saying it's only one groove. You won't be able to go anywhere. They ran all over the racetrack. So for a first race, I think this was really good. A lot can be learned. Hopefully we can come back in the future.
Stevie?
You know, what I learned is try not to predict what you're going to see, because I heard all of these horror stories after the tires test. And that's not at all what we saw on the racetrack. And I hand it to Goodyear, to the racetrack, most importantly the drivers and teams, right? Because they continue to adapt. We saw practice. We don't normally see practice. I think teams made adjustments. It was hard to tell who was going to be the best. And I think Ryan Blaney proved that he stood up to the test with leading that many laps tonight.
Ryan Blaney dominating at 201 laps, but it was late in the race where William Byron looked as though he was closing the gap. Let's hear from the guy who finished second. He's with Dave.
Well, the first winner at Iowa in the Cup Series was almost William Byron. You were coming there at the end. How many more laps did you need?
Yeah, we were pretty even. You know, he was on 2 tires, so I think I had just a little bit fresher tire and was able to work the bottom through lap traffic okay, and felt like I was making marginal gains through 1 and 2, but my tires would get hot down there, and I just would start sliding the rears around a little bit on entry. So just really good effort by our team. We struggled on Friday, and then had a really good qualifying effort, and then had a bad restart in the middle of the race. That was terrible. Just didn't get the tires cleaned off, and it was really weird tonight, you know, with a repave, and it seemed like the tires would take a lap or 2 to go. So once we figured that out, we had some better restarts, but just proud of this team. You know, we definitely need to put together some consistent runs, and this is a good start, and would love to be, you know, winning tonight, but Ryan and those guys were really good, so congrats to them.
There were a lot of unknowns coming in, William, and then you talked about some weirdness. I mean, how many challenges were there out there tonight? Because, you know, in the end, Tyler Failure was not one of them, but were you being careful?
No, I mean, you just kind of run it for all it's got, but you try to stay conscious of it. We never had tire issues all weekend, so just the restarts, you know, with scuffed tires or new tires, just sliding around for a lap, and it's pretty hairy on the restarts, you know, just trying to get grip in the car. So feel like we maximized our day. You know, and just going from here, try to have a good race at New Hampshire. That's been a tough one.
And it's the best finish for you since Martinsville in April. I know that's been a long time coming. You guys have been working at it.
Yeah, we've been working hard. I think we've had speed for most of the weeks, maybe besides Gateway. It wasn't our best, but last week could have easily been up in front and contending for a win. But this is a really good start to put the whole race together, and even, you know, through some adversity. So really proud of that. Strong run tonight for William.
Second place finish for William Byron. Hey, look at this, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Dave. Dad very proud of Ryan Blaney and what he was able to accomplish. Now one step closer to doing something no one else has ever done, gone back-to-back in this format of championship. Ryan Blaney locked into the playoffs now. Marty, DJ, and Brad on the other side.
Back at Iowa Speedway, Ryan Blaney gets to add the win sticker, a win so important to him. In the playoffs now, officially, for Ryan Blaney. Team Penske's won 2 of the last 3 races. By the way, Brad, look at that. Victory lane's plenty big enough for 80 people. Come on, man.
It's plenty big. Yeah, get all those Blaneys down there. You load that lane up.
You were saying you were going to visit some RVs during the race. That's the party you need to go to.
I'm headed there tonight. As soon as we walk out of here, I'm headed there.
I'm sure Dave will be happy to invite you guys. Hey, Marty Snyder, Dale Jarrett, Brad Daugherty joining you here. So, DJ, you know, I know Ryan, I go back to the shot 2 weeks ago. Ryan Blaney just so gutted when he ran out of fuel. Does a win like this, that's a special one, make up for something like that?
It can make up. I mean, you never forget those ones that you thought you had and within a lap like that. But this does. You know, it secures his spot. You know, you put that sticker on your car, you know what that means. And so now he's looking forward to trying to be the first back-to-back champion in this format that we've had. So a lot of speed that they've shown recently on certain types of racetracks, it seems like. And, you know, this guy's just a champion driver. He does such a tremendous job. I questioned the two-tire call
I was
that
going to
they
ask
did.
you, are you surprised it worked?
I'm telling you, when you have a car that good, you're kind of torn between, okay, do I take a chance because we have the best car, so should we put 4 on it, or let's make sure we keep him out front, because that seemed to be very important for them. And he just did a magnificent job of getting through lap traffic and doing everything you need to do.
You know, it just shows you the mindset of a championship race car driver, because all weekend long, everyone complained about their race cars, but Ryan Blaney didn't. And he came out, and like you said, a two-tire stop, you're saying, okay, what's going to happen? Who's going to be able to get to him? Is Byron going to get to him? But he managed traffic well. He took good care of that race car. And like he said, they didn't have any problems. It's really a mindset more than it is anything, and he's got that championship mindset.
Well, Chase Elliott continues just such an impressive streak for that 9 team. Another top 5 finish. Winds up 3rd today. He's with Kim.
Chase Elliott with another solid day, but there were a lot of unknowns headed into this race. Any surprises for you out there?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of surprises. That wasn't really sure what to expect with the tire, and yeah, the racetrack kind of changed a lot. I thought throughout the day the lanes changed a lot. We were able to move around. I thought it was actually a much better race than I was anticipating it being with the repave. So thought all that was really good. Congrats to Ryan. He did a great job, you know, getting up through there, and always good to see him get one if we can't. But you know, I think ultimately really proud of our Napa team, and just continuing to put together a solid day is just need a little bit more to kind of set the pace and be up there leading laps like I feel like we can. So it's been nice to be in the fight though and have a shot there in the closing laps.
You mentioned the solid days. With this 3rd place finish, this is the 2nd straight top 5, but more importantly, you're the only driver to finish in the top 20 in all of the races this season. What do you feel like you guys have done right that maybe other teams are missing?
Well, I feel like we've been, you know, working on the right things throughout the course of the season, but just to finish all the races, you have to have some good fortune go your way. I think we've been fortunate to stay out of trouble, trouble a couple days where we probably should have been in trouble. So that stuff's going to happen, and it's just part of racing. But, you know, for us, we just got to focus on the things that we can control, and that's, you know, good prep throughout the week and bringing fast race cars like we've been doing, and keeping ourselves up there in the fight, and let the rest of it kind of figure itself out. So proud of where we're at. Just got to keep it rolling and keep trucking.
Podium finish for Chase Elliott and his team.
Yeah, you talk about the role they're on, Kim. I mean, it's been incredible what Chase Elliott and his team have done. And he said earlier this week in the media center, I don't feel like we've reached our potential. I mean, Alan Gustafson told me, I feel like Chase is maybe driving better than he ever has. What do you think, DJ?
He's doing a fantastic job. You know, I think last year was such an anomaly, and we didn't know what to think might happen after everything that they went through. And here they are back to what we expect from this driver, this crew chief, and this race team. The consistency is like no one else in the series right now. Yeah. And we know that if you do those things well, then you're going to find yourself racing for a championship at the end of the year in Phoenix, if you're that good all around.
You know, last year with the broken leg and then the big penalty, and it's like I almost lost interest because there was so much against him last year.
Good point.
Got to the end of the year, it's like, where's Chase Elliott? This is a refocused Chase Elliott. This guy is for real, and they are so consistent. Alan Gustafson's doing a great job. You better watch out for this 9 bunch. They could be really standing there at the end of the year holding another trophy.
Brad, I want to go back to his comment where he said the track changed a lot. You guys had the fortune in stage 1 and 2 to kind of walk around and see different parts of the track. Did you notice, and were you surprised by how much the track changed throughout this entire race?
I was shocked. I thought as the track cooled off and changed, I thought we were going to see, that's when the tire troubles were really going to start to exacerbate themselves. It didn't, though. And it's whoever had the best balance in their race car seemed to go forward. And the guy I really watched the whole race was Christopher Bell. I mean, he was so fast. He was a little squirrely earlier on in the heat.
Yeah.
But as it cooled off, he was the fastest race car on the racetrack.
Yeah, it was very racy. I mean, I kind of anticipated that. I felt like the cooling off was only going to help the competition, and it turned out that it did. It was great racing all day. I think you had to move around, and I felt that was going to be the case here today. But who's going to keep up with it the best? What crew chief and what driver was going to put it all together? And we see that was Ryan Blaney and his team.
Brad, Ryan Blaney has your corn, by the way. Should we ask him? Should we ask him how much a bushel weighs?
He has no idea. I'll guarantee you that.
Well, now you can go ask him, because now you know that each one of these weighs 56 pounds.
That's right.
You mentioned that you were watching Christopher Bell today. Yeah. Man, what a show he put on. Back to the front. They got the caution, didn't come out at the right time, but somehow survived for a top 5 Kim is with Christopher.
4 straight top 10 finishes for Christopher Bell. Comes home in the 4th position, but more importantly, you did it in a backup car. You started from the rear. How did you overcome the adversity you guys were dealt this weekend?
It was a lot, and the adversity, it kept coming all day long. You know, the start of the race, I felt like we had really good pace, and the car handled well, especially whenever the tires got hot. And then the strategy completely backfired on us in stage 2 and got us buried. And whenever I was back in traffic, I really struggled on new tires. I don't know why that was. I mean, I was the slowest car in the field on new tires, and then all of a sudden they'd get hot, and I'd be one of the fastest cars. So overall, it was a very great weekend for the Ream team to show up and go to the top of the charts in the primary early in practice, have the tire failure, and then come back with a backup car and be very competitive is a lot of effort. And these guys deserve all the credit, because I can't explain to you guys how hard it was to prepare this backup car in the NASCAR Cup Series garage.
You had found success here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I would consider a 4th place finish in the inaugural Cup race is a success too. But your thoughts on that partial repave?
I mean, they definitely need to repave the rest of the corners, at least. If they don't want to do the straightaways, that's fine, but they need to do the entire corners. I'm hopeful that they do it tomorrow or next week, and then we have, a full year to sit on it before we come back. And the longer that it sits, the better it's going to get. If we would have had a Cup race on the old Iowa, it would have been a barn burner for sure.
Just such an impressive day for this 20-team DJ. And I know I did the story during the race. I want to go back to what Christopher said, though, and reiterate. So they went to the backup car. They stayed until 10:30 p.m. Friday night. They drove back to the hotel. They got 4 hours of sleep. They were up at 4:30 in the morning, back here Saturday morning at 6 a.m. to get that backup car ready. Is there a way to overstate maybe how impressive it was what that team was able to do, not only with a backup car, but also kind of losing all their track position in the middle of the race?
Yeah, and it wasn't even their car to start. It was Martin Truex junior car from last year that hadn't been run. And so there was a lot of preparation. Obviously, they weren't anticipating that. But when you have a great leader, and you talked to him a number of times as you were on that pit box today. And by the way, that was fantastic stuff as we saw. But Adam, see, that's where it all comes together. And you have that and a driver like Christopher Bell that is going to give everything he has every single lap. I mean, I think if we look from lap 20 in every run past that, he had the fastest times for every lap after that probably. But the leadership is like none other. So just kudos to those guys. Just a great job and a total team effort.
Yeah, I learned a lot about Christopher Bell today. I mean, here's a guy all weekend long. He did not like this racetrack, and he was very vocal about it.
He was very vocal.
Yeah, and they struggled with some things, and I was watching specifically because Ricky Stenhouse was running 4th there, and I was actually watching Joey Logano, and as I kept looking at the board, I kept seeing Christopher Bell's speeds, and he was at times a tenth faster than everyone on the racetrack. If he had enough time, he would have gotten there. Better watch out for Christopher Bell, because they're coming. I love the speed in that race car. I love the maturation of this young man, and Adam Stevens is brilliant. This team's going to be tough to beat.
Brad, I have bad news. The party has started without you in Victory Lane. They made it. Let him over the fence. Let him into Victory Lane. My goodness, the fans are here for Ryan Blaney, the family. 80 strong.
Y'all come on
cheering on their guy. Ryan Blaney in Victory Lane here in Iowa. NASCAR America Post Race is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. Let's take a look at this week's Progressive Safe Driver. I mean, Brad, when you lead 201 laps, I mean, does anyone even else get a vote or not?
No. Let's keep it real. Ryan Blaney was absolutely lights out. He came, he showed up, he performed at a world-class level, put on a show for these great Iowa fans.
Most laps he's ever led in a race in his life. And DJ, you've been in this position before. There's Dave, his dad.
Yeah.
Where you're at a home race, and you honestly put more pressure on yourself, don't you?
You put it on yourself. Yeah, there's not more. You just want to perform for them. You know, people make an effort to get here, so it was great. And, you know, he did a fantastic job. And, gosh, to do that with Dave here on Father's Day, couldn't be better.
Terrific, terrific point, DJ. Brad, here's how the unofficial results roll out. Who stands out to you?
Yeah, really, I mean, Josh Berry had a tremendous day today. It's good to see Daniel Suarez have a good run. Brad Keselowski again. He's keeping up. He's staying right around there. So it was a good day for those guys.
I know you jumped over your driver, but Ricky Stenhouse Jr. did a great job. I mean, they used some strategy at times to get him up there. But and I know he's won races here before, as we mentioned, in the Xfinity Series, but this was a totally different track. But they did a great job. Outstanding run for that team.
As we move outside the top 10, how about Ross Chastain, by the way? Yes, they had a tire go down in practice. Yes, they had a tire go down in the race today. But, Brad, they survived. And we knew survival was going to be a big part of the day.
No, he did a great job of surviving and keeping himself in the mix. And Ross drove his rear end off, did a great job. And Todd Gilliland as well. Good to see him up. And Justin Haley, man, he was so fast. He went back to 34th at one point during the race and came to 9th.
Yeah, those three right there, Todd Gilliland, Justin Haley, as you mentioned, Carson Hocevar got a lap down at one time, came back up from that and got a 14th place finish. Did an outstanding job. A pretty good run for Harrison Burton today, too.
Terrific.
He had speed a lot of times. They got caught a lap down there and didn't really get that back, but he showed a lot more speed today.
Right, I think a lot of people were surprised by Tyler Reddick there in 22nd. You know, in the garage this morning, they were all saying he's one of the cars to beat, but he was nowhere to be found.
No, you know, in the back of my mind when we were talking about who was to keep an eye on this weekend, he was always in the back of your mind because you think this racetrack would fit into his style. You know, he's so loose and aggressive and can make things work, kind of like a Kyle Larson light. You know, but it didn't work today. They could not find it. They could not get a rhythm. They struggled.
But only one Toyota really performed, and that was Christopher Bell.
Yep.
Boy, you think about Kyle Busch and that race team, DJ. I mean, the last 3 weeks, they have legit, and Kyle mentioned it, legit had top 5 or top 10 speed, and they walk away losing another big amount of points. Now 21 below the cut line for Kyle
Busch. Going to be tough.
Yeah, you got to think about maybe is it must-win territory for Kyle Busch with now 9 races left in the regular season. So DJ Brad won't brag on his driver, but maybe Dave can. He's caught up with your driver, Brad.
Really? Oh, man, that's
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with a top 5.
Hey, look at that. A little strategy, a lot of speed. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is in the top 5 today. Did you see it coming? Did you kind of know it since Friday?
I felt we were strong on Friday. I don't know if I felt like we were a top 5 car. I mean, I guess we were top 5 on 15-lap average in practice. So there were some shining moments on Friday. We just missed it a little bit with our NOS Energy Drink Camaro on qualifying. But it was the first time that we had ever been loose all year in qualifying. So I think we got some notes to look at. The guys did a great job in the war room and on the pit box, with that strategy call and those 2 tires at the end, get us, just a little bit more clean air and track position. So all in all, it was a really fun night. My guys on pit road did a good job. We had one mistake, and they cleaned it up from there. So total team effort tonight. Hopefully we can kind of build on this.
When you were on the old lefts, was it sketchy at all? Was that an easy run?
It was pretty loose, which was, the first time we had been loose all race. So it was kind of cool, though. I felt like those long runs, there was some things that kind of came back to me from, like 12 years ago when I ran here. And I started kind of smiling a little bit. I was having a little bit of fun. And, it was a really cool night. Glad that, we're back here in Iowa. Hope everybody has a great Father's Day. My dad back home and all the fathers out there.
Yeah, follow that up just a little bit more because we reminisced with you the 3 wins here in the Xfinity Series, and Kelly thought that you might have a little bit of an advantage going in just knowing that you can run well here.
Confidence is key, and believing in that you can do something. And then, unloaded with a good car on Friday was key. I mean, you don't want to, you can't unload too far off with this series. Everybody's so good. Everybody's so close and strong. So, kudos to my guys for doing that. And, man, that was a lot of fun.
Superb night for the 47.
And Joey Logano comes home in the 6th position. We talked earlier this morning, and you said you felt like you had top 5 speed this last handful of races. So Sixth place, one out from that spot. Is this maximizing the day, or did you leave a little on the table?
I mean, it's pretty close to maximizing it. We got kind of caught when that caution came out in the middle of the cycle there, and we lost a lot of stage points there in the second stage. But able to recover to be on the front row in the final restart there with 2 tires on the car. And I thought I can race Blaney and maybe win the thing. Just too squirmy to start, just losing the back, can't get to the gas, and just bled a few spots, unfortunately. So still a solid day for the Shell Pennzoil Mustang, and great for Team Penske, another win. So things are starting to line up the way they're supposed to, which is good, and these short tracks have been all right. So hopefully we can get one at home in Loudon next week.
The other good thing about today, you move 1 spot up in the playoff grid. Now you're just 1 spot out of the grid, minus 6 points. What can you and the team do over the next maybe 5 races before the break to improve your standings?
We just got to keep doing the stage points and solid finishes. So you keep doing that, you're going to work yourself into where, you don't want to be the last car or really the last 2 cars, but if you can be consistent like we've been here recently, getting a little bit more consistently having speed, outside of Sonoma last week, having some issues, but we've been faster, which is what you need to do. So if we have faster cars like we've had, we'll eventually get the points we need.
And finally, both your teammates have won now this season. Is the pressure on?
Our guy one doesn't count for points. I got $1 million though. I'd buy some points with those if I could, but yeah, let's get one.
That's Joey Logano referring to his all-star race back in May.
I don't know, Kim. $1 million. I mean, it sounds pretty good to me, Brad. I don't know.
That's a little walking around money. Absolutely.
Exactly. Here's how the playoff standings shape up, DJ.
Yes, they do, and a lot of changing. And some nervous drivers here. We talked about the two-time champions there. Both of them still sitting outside. We're unaccustomed to seeing these drivers anywhere outside the top 10, much less being outside the top 16. But Bubba Wallace is going to have to pick things up. Chris Buescher, he's run well, but once again had an issue today, so he just can't separate himself all that much. So you get one more winner from down there somewhere, and then all of a sudden it becomes even tighter.
By the way, not pictured here, Josh Berry is 21st. Had he won, DJ, now a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah. I tell you, the thing that really scares me a little bit is for Kyle Busch. I mean, I look at Joey Logano and Bubba Wallace as interchangeable, +6, -6. But that Kyle Busch, I mean, he's going to have to win a race between here and out.
You think so?
Yes,
9
sir.
races to go.
Yes, sir. I think he's had the speed, but they've had so many little things every week that takes him out of it. I don't know when that stops. It's just a run of bad luck. So he's going to have to win a race to have opportunity. I do believe that.
DJ, I found it interesting when Joey Logano immediately went to next week. I mean, I think they kind of view certain places as their shot to get it done. And New Hampshire, for them, could be one of those places.
Yeah, it certainly could. And I think that their short track program, if you look at it, and I realize that's a mile racetrack, but it's a short track. And so from a driver's standpoint. And so I think they look at that as another opportunity yet. We've seen Blaney run good there. Obviously, Logano has run good there through the years. He has to be looking at that. Can we improve on what we did this week a little bit more? He won that $1 million on a short track over at North Wilkesboro. So, it has to be a little more excited. And if it can't be the win that he's looking for, just another solid run. As he pointed out, getting stage points and good finishes, then a lot of good things can happen from
Brad, since you won't voluntarily brag on your driver, we're going to make you brag on your driver. How needed was this for the 47 team with the top 5?
Man, we have struggled this year. It's been really, really tough. And coming here, I knew Ricky would be very confident. That's what we need from Ricky. When Ricky's confident, he can go do the job. And he did a great job today. Very proud of our guys. They worked really hard.
At the end of the day, it's Ryan Blaney, though, in victory lane, punching his ticket to the playoffs after the disappointment at St. Louis a couple of weeks ago. Big Hatman's here. Hey, there you go, Brad.
Got all
the
80
family's made it.
Get me in.
Yeah,
Where's my Blaney
it's coming,
shirt?
Brad.
Oh,
it's
that's
coming.
great right there.
Don't worry. You're invited, by the way. Dave texted me. So. NASCAR America Post Race is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. Want to say happy Father's Day to everyone watching us on USA, to all the crew members as well, and of course the drivers too. DJ, if my memory serves correct, didn't you win maybe a Father's Day race at Michigan?
Well, my memory's not great, but I'm pretty sure that I did too. Yeah, you know, we were always in Michigan during this time, and so I believe that did happen. Very fortunate. This is great. You know, we call this a family sport, and it's not just about the fans and their families coming to it, but it's the families of the drivers and the crew chiefs and car owners. And right here, nothing better than that right there. Just being able to take a hug from your dad and say, hey, thanks for all.
By the way, back there was Mom Lisa coming through, the Iowa native. The fireworks going off for Ryan Blaney. Now into the playoffs. What a terrific shot there by our director, Sean Owens. Let's take a look at how the race was won for Ryan Blaney. I mean, I did not see this coming, Brad, where he would lead 200-some laps and be able to pull off the win today.
No, I didn't see that because we saw Kyle Larson earlier on in the day, and we saw what he had. He was dominant earlier on in the day, and then he had his incident. And Ryan just picked up from there and just was so consistent, got out front, and he just had a stranglehold on that lead. He would not give it up.
Yeah, they won this race today, but this race was won starting about 6 or 8 weeks ago because they were not good at the start of this season. They didn't put themselves in a position. They didn't have the speed or the handling to do that. So that's when this race was really won, that they've given this driver, this championship caliber and championship winning driver, the opportunity to take a car and put 2 tires on it there and be able to hold off the rest of the field.
Real quick, this is 2 wins in 3 races for Team Penske. Is this something, DJ, that continues, or is it maybe a little more track specific? Because you look at sort of the short track program, that's been their strength.
Yeah, I think there are still some places they're going to struggle. They're working hard. I know there's a lot of effort that's being put forth through Ford Motor Company and through the different teams, Penske and Brad Keselowski and their team. They're working extremely hard to make sure that they can compete with this speed and the handling issues that they've had at all different types of tracks.
There's Mom Lisa celebrating with her son Ryan Blaney. What a happy moment for the Blaney family. We talked about the impressive run for Josh Berry, who winds up 7th, and he's with Dave.
Yeah, it's 32 laps led Josh Berry tonight, and weren't really giving any or taking any from anybody out there. The 4-car looked good.
Yeah, no, Rodney and this whole 4 group did a really good job this weekend. Started in qualifying yesterday, qualifying in the 3rd spot, able to maintain our track position for the most part, score a lot of stage points. You know, there's a lot of positives out of tonight. Our car was took off really well on the restarts, which was fun, being on the offense. It just seemed like we bled out a little bit more than some of the guys around us on the long run. So just something to look at. But, you know, all in all, we were leading on that last stop and decided to take 4 and just didn't, you know, the restart didn't go our way. The 47 didn't get a great restart. That kind of knocked me back a couple rows and just got mired back and lost a little track position. But, you know, all in all, just really proud of the effort tonight. Really solid day. Just thank you so much to everybody at Stewart Haas Racing, Ford, Overstock, Marcus Lemonis for stepping up and sponsoring all these races for us. And I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I guess, man, that was fun thinking about that moment, if that could come. And I feel like, you know, I deserve to be, you know, racing these cars week in and week out. And I think I've done about all I can do besides winning a race to prove that.
Well, and I feel like you're motivating a bunch of people left at SHR there. You're motivating yourself too and fighting for that job. So, I mean, you've got a lot riding on this.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are, you know, they're racers through and through, professionals, just absolutely top-notch group right here on this 4 team. And we're going to fight to the very last lap at Phoenix without a doubt. And we're just getting better and better. We're just showing more and more potential week in and week out. You know, I think sometimes I forget even that I'm a rookie, right? So I think sometimes people forget that I'm a rookie, and I'm still learning all this stuff and making mistakes here or there. But, man, this group, you know, Rodney, Cheddar, Dax, Eddie up top, man, these guys are doing an amazing job, and it's been a privilege to race with them this year. And like I said, we're gonna fight all year long, and you know, we're leading there with 70 laps to go. I bet everybody was thinking, what if this happens tonight?
Keep fighting. 7th tonight for Josh Berry.
A 9th place finish for Daniel Suarez, your first top 10 since April. I know you have been so frustrated recently. How much does this inject the team with a little bit of energy?
It definitely feels good because our short track package has been a little bit off most of the year. And to come here, you know, to Iowa for the very first time and and perform the way that we did. We qualified well. We qualified 13. We run most of the race in the top 10, and I feel like at times we had a top 5 cars. At times we had a top 10 car, and we finished right there. So very happy with the effort. It's definitely a step in the right direction. Obviously, we want to win, but we have to make steps in the right direction, and this race was definitely one of them. So I can thank everyone enough at Trackhouse, all my group, 99, the one team, Kubota that was on board with a very, very cool design this weekend. So yeah, it was a solid weekend.
We did see an on-track incident between you and Kyle Larson. Ultimately, that damage, took Kyle Larson out of what could have been a win here. Walk me through what happened.
Yeah, it was a little bit tricky. Definitely, Kyle had one of the best cars out there, and the last thing I want is to wreck one of my Chevy teammates. During the race, obviously, I was a little bit confused. I didn't really have an opinion because I didn't know if I went up or he came down. I just saw the replay for the very first time, and I thought that I definitely went up and I made contact with him. And I also noticed that the 6 that was the car that was on the outside, he had like a quarter of a car of gap to the wall, and then Kyle had another quarter of a car from the 6. So, they were doing their thing, trying to pinch everyone down, and I was expecting them to be a little bit closer to the wall, and I just didn't have enough room. But it wasn't definitely my intention, but I feel like it was a racing thing.
Daniel Suarez with a top 10 finish here at Iowa.
So as we sat around thinking and actually learning from others who we thought was really good tonight, the 48 came up a bunch of times. Ultimately, why aren't you in victory lane tonight?
Well, we got caught by that caution, right, and had to take the wave, and then just working our way back up through there pretty good, and got absolutely demolished into turn 1 and lost like 6 spots and had to come back again. So bummer day, but obviously start 33rd and be so far back for so much of the race to end up 8th is not the end of the world for our Ally 48 team. Obviously, we would like to get a win. I think our race car was one of the best on the long runs at least, but just lacked a little bit there through the middle part of the run. I'd fire off okay, then I'd get tight, and then I'd get okay again. So kind of weird how the tires worked and the cycles went, but I feel like we had a really good race car tonight.
Yeah, I know the starting position wasn't ideal, but I was going to ask you, it was those long runs where you really felt like 48 has the speed.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody here knows that. We were super fast on the long runs, but unfortunately just lost too much track position on that pit cycle when the caution came out, and then losing 6 extra there into 1 isn't much better. So just tough to overcome. Everybody here in the Cup Series is so good. It's hard to get those spots back, but I feel like my team did a really good job continuing to chip away at it, and it would have been pretty easy to be all butthurt after yesterday and sad, and I think everybody came in with a good mindset, and we worked really hard today and ended up with a good top 10.
Interesting being at Iowa. Can the things learned here apply going forward?
Oh gosh, I don't know anywhere else that this place really applies to anymore. It may as well be an intermediate track as hard as you drive the car. So yeah, vastly different than a lot of places we go to, but honestly we still had some issues that we've been struggling with at some other places. We had our fair share of brake issues tonight that we need to address, and things we need to make better that we've been fighting with at other places. So hopefully we can continue to learn about those things and get better.
8th tonight for Alex Bowman.
Tip of the cap, Brad. You called it. 30
right. Yep.
for Alex Bowman
10 top 10. No Stradardi over here.
Next week, the NTT IndyCar Series racing from Laguna Seca, covered 6 p.m. Eastern on USA and Peacock. Bubba Wallace, by the way, made it to victory lane to congratulate his buddy Ryan Blaney. When we come back, we'll talk about New Hampshire next week. 9 races left in the regular season, DJ. Here's how the regular season points shape up. It's interesting, isn't it?
Number 1 position changed for the 3rd week in a row. And so just going to continue probably with that. We see at least those top 4 still have a shot at making this happen and getting those 15 playoff points.
Boy, what a rough night for Kyle Larson, though, Brad.
That's just where I was going. I mean, we just take him out of this. I mean, he was the guy that looked like he was going to win this race today, and boy, had a bad day. And one thing happens and it changes the whole dynamic. So he drops a little bit, but I'm sure he'll be back.
Blaney's a pro at the hat dance, by the way.
He's got that down, doesn't he?
He has got that down.
And he's messing up his hair. Look at that.
Next week, we'll be at New Hampshire for the Cup Series. There's how it looks, DJ. USA all weekend long. Xfinity Series Saturday, Cup Series on Sunday. What do you think for New Hampshire next week?
More exciting racing. I mean, it's tight racing, but I look for the Toyotas to be much better than what they were here today.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think Martin Truex will fare very well. I think Chase, I'm also going to look at Joey Logano. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for him to get right, get himself right. So I think it's going to be a great race.
I know a lot of drivers talked about how fast this track was. It still was a short track. I think we saw some tempers still tonight.
No doubt
about it. I think the tempers will revisit next week at New Hampshire DJ.
100%.
You know how that feels?
Yes, I do. Been there a time or two.
That's a frustrating racetrack, isn't it? But certainly an opportunity for someone to get a win and put themselves into the playoffs. That could happen. Just like Ryan Blaney did tonight. Such an impressive run for him. 201 laps led tonight.
Dominant.
Just so impressive. DJ, real quick question. Should they repave all the corners here at Iowa? Or are you happy with the way it was tonight?
Now, I'd like to see if they have time now to do all of that and give Goodyear a little bit more than 3 days after the paving is done to bring a tire test here and then have everything done. They did a great job.
But this track put on a great race, Brad.
This was a great event, great show, a lot of fun to watch. Can't wait to come back next week.
Yes, indeed. Coming up next on USA Race to Survive New Zealand. We will see you next week for Xfinity and Cup Series action from New Hampshire here on USA.